I'm Dawn Montefusco, and this is Write from Your Heart, how to unleash your creativity, share your message, and leave a lasting legacy. And today we have an extremely special guest whom I love, Janet Connor. She is a prayer artist, deep soul explorer, and field guide in the mystic. She's author of 7 books, including the bestsellers Writing Down Your Soul, The Lotus and the Lily, Soul Vows, and Find Your Soul's Purpose. She created the Soul Directed Life radio show, which has been downloaded over 230,000 times. And her new podcast, Praying at the Speed of Love, will open next year. So excited. Hi, Janet.
Hello, and thank you so much. You know, when you sent the invitation, I get a lot of these invitations, and most of them I just say, no, I can't. But it was called Right From Your Heart. I went, yeah, I'll play.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, tell us what you're up to and what projects you're working on. I see you got the podcast. Anything else?
Well, my entire life changed. I mean, I thought I had a pretty gorgeous life creating all of these books, which come in a context called Your Soul Wants 5 Things. To connect with Source, to commit to values, to serve a purpose, to express your soul's beauty, and to create life. I thought that was my life's work, and I thought it was pretty spectacular work. But there are a few of the books. On February 24th of this year, 2018, in the middle of the night, I semi-woke, and this is what we're going to talk about today and what everything I do is about. I have trained myself, taught myself, and now I teach thousands of people how to be available in the theta brainwave state.
Yes.
And because it's all about theta, and because I am awakened in the middle of the night, it's sort of the good news, bad news about being a writer. When you say to the universe, use me, the universe is going to go, how about at 3 a.m.?
Yes.
I mean, show me the writer this doesn't happen to. So this is Janet going to sleep. I have to, because I don't think it goes by that I'm not awakened. On February 24th, I was awakened, and I always write down. I don't turn on a light or sit up. I just roll over in the dark. And I wrote what I heard, and what I heard was prayer artist. Even as I wrote it down, I was teary. Even as I wrote it down at 3, 4 a.m., I knew, my stomach kind of went, I knew this changes everything. Yeah. So to answer your question, the next morning in Deep Soul Writing, I said to Beloved Vibration of Sophia, which is the intimate name of the Divine Feminine for me, I said, I don't know what this means. You do, but I don't. And I Googled it. No one uses this term.
Wow.
I know. I was just like, what? So I went to register, and prayerartist.com was available. I went, well, okay. I mean, what are the chances? The universe doesn't save in a lot of URLs anymore.
Totally.
Okay. I'm it. So to answer your question, what are you doing? Everything has changed. So the courses that I used to teach have morphed into prayer intensives. Everything is now prayer intensive. I have these prayers that just, I don't write them. They just flow, and rarely do I edit a single word. So I am going to redefine prayer as the love songs of your personal, intimate, very intimate body. It's an embodied marriage, the mystical marriage with the beloved.
You want to say that this is interesting because in Writing Down Your Soul, you talk about, the first line I think is, there's a voice inside of you. And you just talked about a voice that was inside of you. So when you start with that, Writing Down Your Soul, one of the things I've noticed is that when a writer is called to write, or someone is called to create, but words have a way of haunting us. And we cannot be, I mean, I find that my people I know and clients and colleagues, it's almost like, unless we surrender and say yes, we'll never fully feel alive, you know? So when you were going to quote something, I want you to read for you.
I was looking at this, that is the opening sentence. And a funny thing happened because of that opening sentence. There is a voice inside you. There is a voice inside everyone. whether you hear it or not, the voice is there. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the voice is there. Whether you ask it for help or ignore its guidance, the voice is still there. I didn't use the word haunting, but because it's just waiting. It's waiting for you to stop, if just for a moment, and listen. So I think I can explain to the writers who are with us on this delightful teleseminar what that they're actually, I can like demonstrate the haunting.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, this came when I had a conversation with a medical intuitive years ago, because Western medicine said, you know, you really need to have a biopsy. And my body went, I don't think so. Don't tell me I have a biopsy. You're not sticking any needles in me. But I thought, you know, maybe just to be on the safe side, I should have a medical intuitive have a look. So I got on the phone. It wasn't even on Zoom. She wasn't even seeing me. We're on the telephone. And she doesn't know me. And her opening sentence after saying a prayer was, wow, you must need a lot of sleep.
Oh, interesting.
I do. I mean, I sleep a lot. I sleep more than the average bear. I mean, 10 hours a night is like a minimum for me. And I'm thinking, how do you know that?
Yeah, really, seriously.
And so I asked her, I said, yeah, actually, I do now. How do you know that? And she said, because I can see all the books in your energy field.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is important. So she helped me see that there's this cone. It's just the haunting.
Yeah.
Your word. Okay, so all the books, prayers, poems, screenplays, whatever, courses, everything that you're here to do, and maybe pictures if you're an artist. I'm a writer.
Right. No, we're talking writing. Yeah, but I get you.
There they all are, and they're right here. You know,
yes, I do actually know exactly what you mean.
Exactly, and they're talking to you because they already exist.
Oh.
You don't know it, but they already know every word that's going to be in them, and they chose you to be their mother, and they knew what they were doing. So what she said is, and now I actually teach this in my writer's course, Plug-in for Writers, all we're doing when we tune in and listen and surrender and say yes, is we're giving those books the opportunity to drop out of the invisible into our bodies, into our hearts, and from there, out of our hands to then return to the world as a gift. But the gift is, yes, for people, but it's in service to, I mean, who wants these books, right? Right? So the second she said this, I knew it was true. And so now I talk to them like praying at the speed of love. I go, well, how many chapters are we having here? And I don't know the answer to the question, but I know that I can't write a proposal until I have chapters. So the way the universe and the books communicate with me is they know that I'm open every day. Every single day, I am going to show up in my sacred reading and writing chair with my journal in my hands. They know that I am going to bed with the pad paper. They know that in the shower I'm so available. You know, they know. And one of the ways that they communicate with me, and this has to be true of everybody that's on this teleseminar because we're writers. The first thing that makes a writer is becoming a reader.
Oh yeah.
I have no tolerance in any way, shape, or form that people do not, that with people that say they want to be a writer and do not read every single day. And you read at the highest. You read the absolute best. You read over your capacity. So for me, because I write spiritual stuff, I read, man, I read books that make me go, what?
Yes, totally.
I would invite them to be on The Soul Directed Life or on Praying at the Speed of Love. I can teach you how to do this, but not exactly explain, because I was not thinking about the chapters. I wasn't asking a question. I was just completely tuned in. But the universe, the book in your field, Sophia, whatever you want to call it, sees, oh, Janet's reading that book. This is a really good time to get to her. And suddenly I knew And because I read with a journal in my lap, I immediately wrote down, there are 7 chapters and I know what they are and they
Yes.
must be
Yes.
referenced. I mean, it took me 2 minutes
Yes.
to know the chapters. So now I can write the proposal for Praying at the Speed of Love.
I feel like we all, like as writers, one of the things is I have to have something to write on all the time with me, because the downloads happen at the weirdest times. And then you start to get used to them. Like I do notice when I walk my dog.
Yes.
Walk my dog, it's almost now guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
That I'm going to get something. Something's going to come in, because they're going to be like, oh, here's our spot. She's walking the dog, you know, and she's present with the flowers and the trees.
Exactly.
And then when I'm reading, always something comes.
Always.
And then obviously meditating and praying. But sometimes cooking, like it's almost like when we
chopping onions. I swear to God, you're just, because you know you sort of got to pay attention or you're going to cut yourself. And so, but you're not thinking. I mean, what's
right? Yeah.
I get downloads while I'm cooking.
So is that how we stay open to the invisible? You say like by almost sounds like when you're just being present in exactly what you're doing, like
and getting out of your head, which sounds 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Because writers have to, you know, but save the brain for editing. The brain's pretty good at editing. The brain is useless for, if you're sitting here, I'll tell you a story to illustrate it. Maybe this will really bring it home.
Cool.
Okay, deadline for the manuscript for Writing Down Your Soul was November 11th, which is a very sacred day for me, 11/11 of 2007. Mm-hmm. On the night of 11/10, the day before, I am working on the last chapter. Now, I just thought it was cute because the opening chapter is called Before We Begin. I thought, there it is, see, Before We Begin, that's the one that opens with There's a Voice Inside You. I thought it'd be cute if the last chapter was Before We Close.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just cute. And I'm sitting here because I'm in a state of panic over, this is to be mailed. In those days, it wasn't just on email. 2007 is like ancient history from it. It had to be put on a flash drive and overnight mailed to Canary Press in San Francisco. And I'm, you know, and when you're like that, you're in the beta brainwave state, which is hypervigilant. I've learned since from the brain scientists that whenever you're worried, you're in the beta brainwave state.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, if you're worried, you're unavailable.
What's alpha?
It drops from beta to alpha to theta to delta, which is sleep. Now, mind you, this is the kindergarten version, but this is the very simple. So beta is that fast, high frequency.
Yeah.
What Americans do is we wake up to alarms if it's humanly possible. And I know many of us have to because we have jobs or little kids. But the second my son went off to college, the very first thing I did was stop setting an alarm. Yeah. Unless I have a flight to catch, no alarm, none, zero. Because then you can wake up naturally, lifting up from delta to theta to alpha and avoiding beta. Good workaholics, we go to bed with an alarm at some ungodly time, 5:30, 6:30, in order to get to work at 8 o'clock. And the second it goes off, first of all, it's like,
yeah.
And then the first thought you have is, okay, I got to get this done. How am I going to get this done? Oh my God, don't forget, do this, blah, 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 blah. And you have pushed yourself into the beta brainwave state where you cannot solve a problem.
Oh, that's a good point. Listen to that. In beta, you cannot solve a problem because
you cannot solve a problem.
You try harder.
You try harder.
Problem, and it blocks you more.
Exactly. Yeah. So there I was, frantically trying to write this chapter, and everything that came out was crap. I came to my senses and said, wait a second, Janet, you know better than this. And I pushed in the keyboard. I stood up right here and I said to the ceiling, which I know is very silly. God's not on the ceiling, but I said to the ceiling, course, I didn't know in those days about the books in my energy field. So I actually was looking at the book in my energy field, but I didn't know that. And I said, here's the deal. You write the book. You write the last chapter. I'm going to go make dinner.
Nice.
And I went downstairs and I got out a good bottle of Pinot Grigio. I made chicken piccata. I put Miles Davis, the most magnificent album of all time, Kind of Blue.
Yeah.
And I had this, Miles and I had dinner, and it was a magnificent dinner. And around 10:30, and I didn't think about, I just stopped and enjoyed Miles and my magnificent dinner and my Pinot Grigio. Around 10:30, I felt, and this is all about knowing your clairs and opening your clairs, clairvoyantly seeing, clairaudiently hearing, clairsentiently feeling, and clairsentience feeling is usually the easiest one. And in fact, in those days, I didn't even know about the clairs, but I felt in my gut, you pick up a pen now.
Wow.
Now, because I had one of these in the living room. When I go to dinner, I have one, not at the dining room table, but right there in case I need it. Totally. So I didn't have to go very far to go, yeah, okay. And I simply took dictation. The next morning, I typed it up and I went, this is kind of good. I think I'll send it.
Yes.
And so I sent it off to Canary. Now, I was a brand new writer, so there was some serious editing that had to be done. Yeah. And every time they sent it to me with the red, I would say, well, what about the last chapter? It was the only chapter, not a word. And they said, oh, it's perfect.
Wow.
Now, I still didn't understand. I didn't until the first box of books came December of 2008, because the book came out January of 2009. I opened it, and well, first I burst into tears because that's what all writers do. When you see your book, not, on the screen, but in your book, you just have to have a nice little cry fest.
Yeah.
Just like having a baby. And, so these are tears of joy.
Totally.
So I had a little meeting scheduled that weekend with some friends in a spiritual book group. And so I brought my book. And I was trying to talk to them about the theta brainwave state, and they're kind of going, what are you talking about? So I told them the little story I just told you, and I read them this last chapter before we close. Now, I won't read the whole thing, although it is only 2 pages. It's 2 pages.
Go for it. Read it.
All right, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Here we are at the end of the book. I feel I haven't told you enough about writing down your soul. Did I tell you it's the sweetest, simplest, and richest spiritual practice? Did I tell you anyone and everyone can do it? Did I tell you that the voice doesn't care what name you use? The voice just wants to talk. Did I tell you that it's safe to open your heart? That it's vital to listen with your spiritual ear, that it's a blessing to befriend those inner voices that haven't always been so kind. Did I tell you all that? I hope so. Did I tell you that questions are the magic that activates the voice, and that the voice responds in equal measure to your desire to know? And did I tell you that no matter how deeply you probe, there's always more to discover in your soul's divine adventure? And that bit about living the questions, I hope I shared that because it's such a profound truth. Did I tell you that guidance and wisdom await not just on the page, but everywhere? You enter into the mystery of divine dialogue. It seems the whole world starts talking to you. And this is important. Did I tell you that the voice is always listening? Even on a dark night, when it feels like no one is present, no one is responding, no one cares, the voice is there. Trust me on this and hold on. And did I tell you about miracles? Ask and know. That's really all you have to remember. But maybe the biggest miracle is the conversation itself. It's certainly a mystery. The voice is out there somewhere in the vast uncharted field, and yet it's right there on the page in your lap at the very same moment. Amazing. Oh, and did I tell you not to worry? You cannot make a wrong turn. It's true, you can't. Your soul is unfolding in its own perfect way, and the voice is right there beside you, your witness, your partner, your guide. I hope I told you this. Writing down your soul is a wonder-filled experience worthy of proper celebration, or at least an occasional whoop of joy. Did I tell you that your life will change? Because it will. Indeed, it already has. One last thing. Did I tell you that the conversation never ends? It's really important that I tell you this. The conversation begins the day you pick up a pen and write Dear Voice, and then it continues and continues and continues until a day when you can no longer hold a pen. And then it continues to another place and in another way. The truth is, the conversation never ends. Isn't that divine?
Wow.
I lost it as I'm reading this to my friends, because here the book is in print. And that's the moment I realized I didn't write a single word. That is the divine speaking directly.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
That is the theta brainwave state.
Well, can you explain just a little bit to people? You were mentioning off when we were first getting to know each other, handwriting and how that helps you get into theta. Give us the goods on getting into theta.
And well, and this is the gift I want to give everybody because it is so important. I recorded this 40-minute streaming teaching video professionally and give it to here, because it explains how to write so that you do drop into theta.
Nice.
Because if you write the way you were taught, the way your therapist told you to, the way all of the journaling books, you'll notice I don't even use the word journal. Well, the brain people, not Janet, the brain people with the little thingies on your head have proven that when you are journaling, you can do some pretty fabulous self-reflection, but you're only in the alpha brainwave state. And this is why people stop journaling. This is why they get sick of it, because they're tired of hearing their own whining stories. When you follow these 7 simple steps, but they completely transform. So you're no longer journaling, you're no longer in the alpha brainwave state, you're no longer doing self-reflection. You have dropped through what I call the round open door between worlds, the threshold between worlds, into the theta brainwave state. And things like that can happen. So we won't go over the 7 steps now, but just so the listeners know, that you begin by setting your intention to get out of conscious mind. It ain't going to happen in conscious mind. And then you address the voice by name. And the second we've done these 2 things, there's no journaling book that tells you to do those 2 things.
Right.
So in a way, we have stepped away from journaling and the alpha brainwave state.
When you say name it, is that how you name Sophia?
Well, yes, I mean, I used to write Dear God, comma. That was the very first thing that happened to me in 1997. I stumbled into this kind of writing while going through what appeared to be a life-threatening divorce. And so I'd be sitting in the living room with the blinds shut so I wouldn't be the victim of a drive-by shooting, sobbing. That's it. That I just couldn't. I was totally non-functional, which I'm not grateful to have had the experience, but I am grateful to have had the experience because you know what? When you get the cancer diagnosis, you freeze. When you discover you're bankrupt, you freeze. You know, whatever it is, you just, and you can't help yourself. And so I wrote the book. So that
circling back for just a second, when you were saying how you were going to get the biopsy, but instead you got the knowing that the book was coming in, what happened? We didn't finish that. What happened after you started?
She said, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so So here you go. You have dear God, comma, or however you want to enter into that, right?
And there's a whole chapter in the book on that, because what is the name? Doesn't matter what the name is. You could call it dear friend, dear guide. There was a guy in one of my classes who was very upset that he couldn't come up with a name. And so, that was our sort of assignment for that week. And so he came back to, upset and angry. And he said, and God love him for having said it. He said, okay, I thought all of you people can do it. And we were all girls. And there he is, the one guy. And I can't do it. So I was very angry. And I was writing on the page, okay, everybody else is going to get a name but me. I can't do it, blah, 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 blah. Now he's writing very, very quickly, which was one of the 7 steps. And he's writing very, very honestly. You got to show up naked. This is, God is not interested in you putting on your, look at me, I'm a wonderful, you got to show up raw. This is what is happening to me right now. So he's writing very, very quickly. And through his hand came this. Cut the bullshit. Call me Waldo. And this poor guy, isn't it fabulous that he had brought this to us? All the women in the room burst into tears. Now he's looking at us like he's just bared his soul. And we have just had this absurd response. But I know that he's never had a child. So through my tears, I said, Fred, go to the children's section of the library tomorrow.
Yes.
And ask for books called Where's Waldo?
Totally.
The divine could not have given anybody a better name, because Waldo's right there. It's right there. It's in your life. It's in the story.
He's always there.
It doesn't matter what you call it, but you must address the voice by name, which of course isn't in any.
I love it. So what was number 1 again? What was 1 was?
Set your intention to exit conscious mind. And that's just a matter of, you could touch your third eye, take a breath. This is not a long drawn out. As you pick up the pen, it isn't one of the 7 steps, but I can't recommend highly enough that you also, for heaven's sake, start tracking the date.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll have 6 or 7 of these just for 1 year. I've got a closet. Oh, you can't see the closet. I got journals. And you say, oh, I want to remember what. So anyway, I always write the date and the numeric vibration of the date. So one day in 2014, I was going through an initiation, but I didn't know it. I didn't understand what was going on. But the only thing I was reading were books about the divine feminine. And suddenly I picked up a pen to do my writing, and I couldn't write Dear God Come. I couldn't. Out of my hand came Beloved Vibration of Sophia! Exclamation point. We have to have the exclamation point. And it was just non-negotiable. So this is my name for the divine. Now, I didn't know that I was being invited into really being a voice of the divine.
Let's go to number 3, because we got 7 to go to. I want to make sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, you want them? Okay.
just to tell the audience so they know what they're
what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
So we are setting our intention, addressing the voice by name, activate all 5 senses, and it is possible, and I explain in the book and in the video how to do that. Because what you're doing is opening all your clairs.
Totally.
You activate all 5 senses. No journaling book tells you to do that. Write by hand, because you have access, and neurological things happen when you're writing by hand. Now, people who can't write by hand have asked me, maybe you have rheumatoid arthritis, and blind people can still do it with Braille. So it isn't that you must pick up a pen, but if you can, then use your hand, because miraculous things happen. Odd spelling, funny things will happen that come through that wouldn't come through if you were typing. So it is possible to get into the theta brainwave state on the computer, but start writing by hand. Write quickly.
Writing by hand also, I think, for those that can, it releases a lot of the pent up energy fields. Like it actually goes through you in a way that's different.
Yeah. Well, it's a physical activity like yoga. I mean, it is, and the brain research parts of it are so interesting that you're actually integrating. I quote Pennebaker at length in that first book, Writing Down Your Soul, and we're only focusing on that one at the moment. This is my beloved beat up old copy of Pennebaker's book on opening up. This guy, the head of the psych department at the University of Texas in Austin, is the guy who has done 35 years or more of research on the efficacy of writing. So there, I quote the highlights of it in my chapter, Why Write, kind of the highlights of the science. So there's the brain science, and there's the psychology science, and also there is the neurobiological science, which comes from Candace Pert, who she was one of the talking heads on What the Bleep.
Oh, nice. Yeah. But writing is one of the most healing, miraculous things that anyone could really engage in.
And when Pennebaker started doing this research, he was actually a pariah amongst other psychologists because it was so absurd.
Wow.
But he kept pushing for peer reviews, and his experiment, which I describe in that book, is now I think I'm remembering this correctly, the most peer-reviewed psychological study in the world. It's been done in dozens and dozens of languages. Wow. And here it is in just a tiny nutshell. He would divide the group into three, and he would tell that group, write about whatever trauma in your past and only describe the details. Then one group just was to write, but not about anything in particular. And then this group was to write about what happened. No, I've got it wrong. This is just the details, what happened. This is just the emotions, how you felt and how you feel now. And then the third group was, now this is for 10 minutes a day for 4 days. I mean, that's nothing, right? Nothing. 10 minutes a day for 4 days, write about what happened and your deepest thoughts and feelings about it. So facts, emotions, deepest thoughts and feelings. 4 days, 10 minutes a day. And then he would do these pre and post tests, measuring depression, all of the psychological markers. And the group that only talked about what happened, nothing, no change. The group that only talked about emotions, they were all now clinically depressed. And the group that talked about their deepest thoughts and feelings had, let me see if I'll get you I can find it more quickly in the original. This was the very first cover before they came up with the Pennebaker. Here it is. All right, listen to this. The results were the third group, the people that wrote about what happened and their deepest thoughts and feelings. Lower blood pressure, higher immune function for 6 weeks, improved mood, better physical health for 6 months, more positive outlook on life, reduced anxiety and depression, and here's the kicker. They had an improved ability to fight infection because they had more active T lymphocytes.
Wow.
Lymphocytes are the agents in your body that destroy cancer cells.
Wow.
And because of that sentence, a woman who runs a support organization for breast cancer people in Pittsburgh has given away, I don't know, countless copies of this book. If you know anybody with cancer, or really any issues, for heaven's sakes, get Writing Down Your Soul and a journal in their hands so that they start writing.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're up to 4.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we're getting there. We get 3 more.
So fast, write by hand, ask questions.
That's right.
The subtitle of the book is How to Activate and Listen to the Extraordinary Voice Within. You know how you activate it? You ask questions, but not those pukey, puny, why me questions. There's 4 questions that don't work, and I list them in here. And then there's like 45 pages of questions that'll, just open the universe. One tiny example would be, what have I been unwilling to see?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, I can't
See
wait.
what
I
I mean?
ordered your
Yeah.
book. I can't wait to get it.
These have to be like wow questions. And you'll discover a wow question generates another wow question and another and another. It's not like there's answers out there. I mean, there are. You're going to get wisdom and guidance, but that's just going to lead you to ask a deeper question.
It also, it's like it cleans you out. There's so much stuck inside of us that we don't realize is just stuck energy. I think that's where the healing comes, is that we're just clogged up, you know?
Yeah.
And when you clog it up, it's a mess. Okay, so hold on, we got 6 and 7.
So I know the 7th is be grateful. I'm forgetting something.
It's okay. Well, it's okay because you have a free gift and we'll find out what all are.
But now that's going to drive me crazy. I didn't get out my before I think I have my if I can get my hands on my cheat sheet, right by hand. Oh, whatever.
That's so cute. We'll figure it out. What I do want to say is a couple things. One, it's really amazing that you've tapped into this and you've been able to like put it into words to help people realize that it's not foofy stuff, right? It's real live stuff, science, medicine, you know, spiritual world, like it's all combined and it's very, very important. Here's something I really want to ask. You're the perfect person to ask this to. So I have people that say they get stuck because they're writing what they think they should write, right? Somebody told them, I was one of those ones, and I hated my life. I remember thinking, maybe I'm not a writer, because I kept feeling obligated to write what some authority figure, someone I probably looked up to, said, you know what you should write? You should write. I'm thinking of what it was. It was something about coaching. And I was like, it's not really my passion. I like writing about writing, and I like writing, just my stuff. And then when I switched into what I want to write, which actually was poetry. And I remember when I went to grad school, got my MFA in writing, mostly short story and some nonfiction. And then they had me cross genre and put me into poetry. And I was pissed. I was like, I am paying money. I was 26. I'm paying money to like, you know, get my graduate degree. Don't tell me what I need to take. I got to take poetry. And I remember saying like, what am I going to be, a poet? How is that going to help my life? Talk about myopic, because I was from New York and I was now in Spokane, Washington. So it's a different culture entirely. But my New Yorkness was like, how is it going to apply? My mother, you know, or my dad, both of them, you know, how is it marketable? What are you going to do with it? And then I got into poetry. And then I actually was dumbfounded because the professor and people were like, oh my God, you're a poet. I'm like, don't say that. You know, I was in denial, you know. And then the joke was on me, because when I'm writing poetry and when I'm asking questions and letting it flow through me, my health, my mind, my business, my relationships, whatever it is that I, you know, so the poetry allowed me to open up, and then everything seemed a little bit better. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. And so then I just continued on the exploration, because as you know, God has more in store for us. So, you know, as we peel those layers, they come in. So what do you have to say to someone who really truly is scared to write what they want versus what they should?
Yeah, well, first of all,
yeah, exactly.
Because what the book that has chosen you,
yes,
and knows why it has chosen you, and knows that you're the only one that can express this gift in this way.
Wow.
So it's probably getting pretty annoyed with you for not paying attention. When Sandra Ingerman, the magnificent teacher of shamanism, was on my show this month on the Soul Directed Life with this fabulous book, the Book of Ceremony. It's all about the shamanic view of life as everything is a ceremony. And that is how I view my writing life. You know, everything is a ceremony. Making a cup of coffee is a ceremony.
Totally.
Right? No, especially coffee.
I know.
So I mentioned this whole brand new prayer artist thing, and she gave me language for it that is an answer to your question. She said, Janet, prayer artist is your medicine.
Oh.
Bingo. See? She said, your gift, your medicine. And she said in the shamanic traditions, When a baby was born to the community, there was this incredible celebration. Well, we celebrate when babies are born, but not with this awareness. So here's this new baby, and the entire community comes to a naming ceremony, celebrates, honors the mother, celebrates the baby, because they are viewing this baby as bringing medicine. This baby, as she grows, is here to bring a medicine that has never existed before to the community for its health and its healing and its growth and its protection and its prosperity. How dare you not give birth to your medicine? The world is waiting, right? Now, okay, you don't know what it is. Maybe you didn't roll over in the middle of the night hearing prayer artists. Okay, I mean, this is non-negotiable. And I have had to change.
Actually, by writing, you get to the answer. It's like people want to like sit in the car and say, I want to go on the hike and see the view. Tell me about it. Like, you're in the car, get out of the car, go for a walk. So like as you write, you will discover it, right? There's a,
yeah.
so
This is
trust. Can you mention
every single day I show up and have chats with Sophia, and the prayers, just like you.
And you need to trust the process, right? There's a trust that comes into that. Yeah.
It's because it's not coming from here. The I should, that you should write a book, it's completely coming from here, from somebody else's. And we're also trained in the linear, patriarchal, set your goals, accomplish your goals, meet. This book, The Lotus and the Lily, is all about that. Buddha and Jesus didn't teach that. So what the hell are you doing, right? It's about opening and surrendering to the life that wants to be lived in and through and as you. So I had a friend who was writing a book about like canine dogs or something. I don't know, something to do with dogs. And she had come to one of my writing events or knew about them. And she asked to have dinner. Okay, fine. So over dinner, I thought I was going to burst into tears. She said, how do you motivate yourself to write every day?
Oh, wow.
I looked at her across the table. What? I don't even understand the question.
Yeah.
Writing is the joy of my life. I can't wait to get in here. I can't wait to pick up a pen. I wake up in the morning and go, woohoo, Sophia, what are we doing today? I'm like, what do you mean? How do you motivate yourself? Well, what came out is she had been told that she should write this particular book. I think it was about security to canine dogs. I think I'm vaguely remembering now. And at the time, because she had something to do with dogs, and she went, okay, I'm going to write that book. But it wasn't the book that had chosen her. It wasn't the love of her life. And so she was forcing herself. I have to sit down and I have to write this proposal. Well, stop it. And here's the answer to your question. If I'm going to recommend,
yes, The Writing Life.
The Writing Life. I have a gazillion books on writing.
That's the one. Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so here is her answer to that question. It's on page 68 and 69. So she's talking about there's something you love. There's something, like for me, it's a theta brainwave state, deep soul writing, walking in the mystic, prayer. Oh, I'm so in love with prayer now, I can't stand it. Why do you never find anything written about that idiosyncratic thought that you avert to? About your fascination with something no one else understands? Because it's up to you. There is something you find interesting for a reason hard to explain. It's hard to explain because you have never read it on any page, and that's where you begin. Now listen to this sentence. You were made and set here to give voice to this, your own astonishment.
Oh, I love it. I forgot about that book. Yes, I totally spaced. I love that book. That's such a great reminder.
68.
Oh, Janet, we're so out of time, but you are a gift. What a great way to end. And you have so much. You know, there's something that I really feel you exude that is just amazing to even be a part of, and I'm honored. And that is joy. Yeah. You really bring that joy. And I know that we all need more joy in our lives. So seriously, everybody, tune into Janet. Go to her website. All the information is on this page. Get the free gift. start, getting yourself into theta and writing from your heart. Oh my,
Every single day.
every single day. Exactly. And here's the thing too. And I'll say this honestly, I stopped writing every day and stopped writing in my journals. And I have hundreds of journals. This particular year, I was building my business. Everyone knows I'm doing lots of these writing series. And I'm putting together a group program, this and that. And I lost my way, if you will, because I was actually on my way, but simultaneously, I started to lose my way. And I started to feel more and more disconnected. And as soon as I sat down for 10 minutes a day and started writing with my hand, it was equivalent of like taking the best medicine I've ever taken in my life. I've never felt better.
So, and you get direction that you couldn't think up on your own. I mean, this is what I cannot get over.
There you go. If you want the answers, you got to do just follow it. It's easy. A pen and a piece of paper, 10 minutes. And you will get the answers that you are seeking very specifically, and you will find your way. Thank you so much. We got to run, but Jen, I wanted you to be back on my show soon. I'm going to do more of these in the future, and I just can't wait for more. And I can't wait for your podcast. So, all right. You take it easy. Have a great day. Mwah. Bye.